Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to yet another problem solving session for the course The Joy of Computing Using Python. So, for those of us who are joining for the first time, these problem solving sessions aim to basically help you solve the quiz problems and programming assignment problems. So, in these sessions, we would be looking at the previous year's questions. So, questions from the assignment problems from the previous years, and hopefully, by solving those questions, you would gain a better understanding of the concepts discussed in the lecture videos, and then that will further help you in attempting the quiz and assignment problems. So, in this week, two concepts were introduced. One was browser automation, and another was how to work with calendars and dates and time. So that was the aim of this week. So we were introduced to new packages which help us handle these two tasks. So that was the aim of this week. So let us get started with the problems. The first question is, which library is used for browser automation? So there are four options, and the correct answer in this is, let me get my pen. Yeah. So the correct answer is option C, Selenium. So NLTK stands for Natural Language Toolkit. Natural Language Toolkit, and this was introduced in the week where we were discussing author stylometry and things like that, how to work with languages in particular. Then NumPy is for working with arrays. So whenever you want to work with arrays, you would use NumPy. PIL stands for Python Imaging Library. So any image processing applications that were discussed in the previous weeks, those were handled by PIL library. And Selenium is for browser automation. Moving on, time will return what? So we need to answer this. Now time is a package which helps us deal with, as the name suggests, time. So it basically returns the current based on what kind of functions you use. It can tell you the time of execution of the code, the duration that a code takes to execute, or you can use that to know the current time at your place and things like that. So think about this thing, what this function does. Try to answer this question. I'll give you a few seconds and then I'll tell you the answer. So, okay, time will return. The correct answer is option A. It returns time in seconds. So you can also use this function uh, to basically uh, measure the amount of time your code takes to execute. Okay, so what you can do is well, let's say you have your code. So your code would be something like import time, and then you would record the start time, so this will give you time in seconds at the start, and then you can write your piece of code, write your code, whatever code segment that you have, and let's say this is the end of your code. And at the end of your code you would uh, record the time once again. So the duration of your code would be, time duration of execution of the code would be end minus start. This way you can uh, come to know how much time your code takes to execute if you have a big piece of code. Okay, so moving on. Library used to get all time zones. So, the library used for all time zones is PyTZ. It stands for Python Time Zone. So, NLTK, as I mentioned above, stands for Natural Language Toolkit. Uh, Selenium is for browser automation, and calendar So pi tz is for the time zone, and it stands for Python time zone. So that's like a um, short form for Python time zone. And calendar uh, module is for uh, things like dates and months and calendar. Okay, next question. The output of the following code will be. So here we are using the date time package. So from date time import date time as dt and then print dt dot now. So what will this piece of code give as the output? Think about it for a few um, seconds and then we will discuss the answer. Okay, so the correct answer is option D. Date and time in year, month, date format, that is for the date, and time is in hour, minute, second, and then decimal points. So this one first it gives you date and then it gives you time. So the ordering is important. So it first gives you date in that particular fashion of year, month, and date, and then it gives you time. So let us execute this in our Python console and see if indeed we get it in this format. So let me go to the Python console. So I hope you can see my spider screen. Let me just give you a short demo of the time module. Okay, so I will just run this. Oh, sorry, time dot time, not time dot now. Yeah, see, it tells the current time in seconds. Okay, so this was just a quick demo of time module. Let me just remove all of this. So now we will use the date time module. We will import it and then print dt dot now. See, it gives the current date and time in the prescribed format. So year, month, date, hour, minute, second, and then decimals. Okay, so let us come back. Now this is a true false type question. We can use the same web drivers for different browsers. Now this is indeed false. For different browsers, you need to download and install web drivers for that particular browser. So if you are using Chrome, you need to download the web driver for Chrome in order to use Selenium for your browser automation task. If you are using, let's say, Microsoft Edge, then you have to download the um, driver for Edge. If you use Safari, then the corresponding driver for Safari, and so on and so forth. So for different browsers, you need to download and install the corresponding web drivers. Next question. This is also about predicting the output of a piece of code. So here we are using PyTZ as well as date time packages. So both of them we are using. So it's a combination of both these packages, and then it's about using time zones and dates. So please take a minute to solve this question. Okay, so the current answer is option A. It prints the date, prints the current date and time of all time zones. Okay, so all there are like more than 500 time zones in Python. So it prints the current date and time for all of those time zones. So let us try to execute this code in our Python console and verify that indeed option A is the correct answer. So let us move to the Python, to my spider. So now let us look at the PyTZ module. And date time also needs to be there. And then we have an object zone equal to PyTZ dot all underscore time zones. Oh, sorry. Something wrong I have done. Now for loop. Okay, so let us run this code. So see, it prints the current date and time for all these time zones. So you see there are so many of them, more than 500. See, the output also is getting limited because of that. But okay, so you see that it has date and time. So year, month, date, hour, minute, second, and then decimal seconds, and then at the end this, let's say this +3, this is the time zone. Above that we see +2. Okay, so these are the time zones, this +3, +2. Here you see -10. So why you see this? Because these time zones have been sorted in alphabetical order based on the city or the country, not based on the time zone itself. So that's why it is alphabetically sorted based on the city or country, and then you see the time zone for that particular city or country. So Here it is +8, +7. So these are the time zones. Okay, so coming back, another true false type question. We can get any element using CSS tag in Selenium. So this is true. You can use the CSS tag and get the uh, corresponding element from the CSS tag. So it was shown in the browser automation videos how you can inspect a particular website and find uh, corresponding elements in that website, uh, stuff like different links, search boxes, different text boxes, and images and IDs of all those, using the inspect and different tags. So you can use CSS tag as well. Okay, next question. Another output type question, programming question. So what will be the output if the system date is 10th December 2021, which happens to be Friday? So here we are using the date time package and we need to predict the output of this code. So please try to answer this question. I'll wait for about a minute. Okay, so the correct answer is option C, which is 4. And this is because this day.weekday command uh, basically returns a number from 0 to 6. So 0 stands for Monday, 1 is for Tuesday, so on and so forth, where finally 6 is for Sunday. So if you go in the sequence, you realize that 4 is for Friday and we are told that this date is a Friday, so it will return 4 for Friday. So if you look at this line, this day is equal to dt dot today, then it returns in the format year, month, date, and then time, hour, minute, second, and then decimal point. So another way to achieve this would be the following. You import not date time but calendar, and then you can do calendar dot weekday, and it takes in the arguments year, month, and date. So this is another way in which you can get the same output. Okay, so let me try to run this in Spider, in Python, so that you can understand that indeed this is the answer. Okay, so for this question, we need the date time, so I will not remove that. Okay, now day is equal to dt dot today, and then we will print day dot weekday. See, it is showing 6 for Sunday. So today is Sunday, so it is showing 6. So 0 is for Monday, 1 is for Tuesday, and so on and so forth. 6 is for Sunday. We can also do it in a different way that I had shown. So let me show it to you. Okay, let me comment this thing. And let me show the alternate way. Import calendar, and then calendar dot week. We need to print this. Print calendar dot weekday, year, month, and date. So let us use the year given in the question, 2021. Month is December, so 12, and date is 10th. So let us do this print. See, output is 4 as expected, because 10th December 2021 is supposed to be a Friday. Okay, so this is just how you can get the weekday. Okay, now coming back to our assignment problems. Which statement will return the calendar for a whole year? So, take a few seconds to answer it. Okay, so the correct answer is option C, calendar.prcal year. So PRCAL would stands for print calendar, and for that particular year it will print the entire calendar. Okay, moving on to the next question. By which statement can we come out from a loop? So this is very easy. You have seen this in quite a few examples by now. So whenever we want to come out from a loop or break the execution of a loop by checking some condition, then we use the command break. So the command continue is used when you want to continue with the execution of the loop. Continue with the execution of loop. So typically, these break and continue statements are used inside while loops, wherein you are running infinite while loop. So this is like an infinite while loop, and then you have some code, and then you check for some condition, and if the condition is satisfied, then let's say you want to break out, else you want to continue, something like this. Typically this is the kind of use case for break continue statements. Okay, let us move ahead. How to check for leap year? So you have seen in the videos how we can check for leap years. What are the conditions for checking a leap year? By writing a piece of code. But there is a simpler way, like there are some built-in commands through which you can check whether a year is a leap year or not. So please select which is the correct built-in command for checking the leap year? Okay, so the correct option is option C, calendar dot is leap year. So you give the argument of the year and then it will return whether it is true or false based on whether the year is leap or not. So the logic behind checking for a leap year is, so how do you check for leap years? If a year is a century year, then it should be divisible by 400. And if it is a non-century year, then it should be divisible by 4. Okay, so this is the logic behind checking whether a year is a leap year or not, and you have seen in the video how we use if else conditions to check whether a year is a leap year or not. And this is a simpler built-in way of checking for a leap year. So it returns true for a leap year and false for a non-leap year. Okay, so moving on. Which of the following method can be used to print the calendar of month March 2022? So please take a few seconds to answer this question. Okay, so the correct option is option A, calendar dot month and then year and the month. So this prints the calendar for the entire month of March for the year 2022. So this 3 right here stands for March. Why? Because 1 is for January, 2 is for February, and so on and so forth, with 12 being for December. So March comes at number 3. So this is the syntax for printing the calendar of the entire month. Next question. Which method will allow us to see the current date and time using date time package? So you need to use the date time package to know the current uh, date and time. So what is the syntax you need to select? Okay, so the correct answer is option B, now. And the syntax for doing this is the following. So we will first import the date time package. Okay, and then you do dt dot now. You can print this statement. You can print this statement. Then you will get the output, and this gives you in the format year, month, day, and then hour, minute, second, and then decimal point. So decimal second. And the hour, you should note, is in the 24-hour format. So 24-hour format means that 1 p.m. is 13, 2 p.m. is 14, so on and so on. Okay, so let us move forward. I can try and show this thing to you in Python. So let me just, it's a very simple piece of code. Let me just show it to you. So once again, let me just show you the date time module. Now I want to print dt.now. dt.now. So you see, it is giving you the date and time. So year, month, date, hour, minute, second, milliseconds in that format. Okay, so moving on. Which of the following method is used to fetch an element by its class name? So this is like part of the browser automation. So where you want to find out a particular element in the website. So which of the following method will be used for that? So it's a syntax based question. You need to just answer what is the correct syntax. So the correct syntax corresponding to this is option C, which is find element by class name. Next question, very simple. We have seen a similar question earlier. Which library allows us to work with time zones in Python? We have already seen something similar in one of the earlier questions. So just take a few seconds and answer this question before we move forward. Okay, so the correct answer is PyTZ, which, as I mentioned earlier, stands for Python time zone. So this will help you work with different time zones in Python. Next question. So we are approaching the end to our quiz questions. Then we will have programming assignment. Which of the following functions can be used to find the coordinated universal time? So it's a syntax based question, and the answer is um, option A, using the date time package. So this is part of the date time package, and the syntax is datetime.datetime.utc now. So UTC stands for Coordinated Universal Time. That's like the short form. So it is the primary time standard for a clock or time regulation. So and UTC is same thing as GMT or Greenwich Meridian Time, Greenwich Mean Time. So basically it's just like a new name. UTC is like a new name for GMT, you can think of it. So GMT is a time zone and UTC is the time standard for that. So it is the UTC is the time standard for clock synchronization. Next question, last question for the quiz. Which of the following will convert a string S containing numbers into an integer? So this is useful whenever you are taking input. So when you take input, it is taken as a string input. So but let's say you want to work with numbers and you are entering numbers, so numbers are also taken as strings, and then you would have to convert those numbers into integers in order to work with them like normal integers. So how would you do that? We have seen this quite a lot by now, so you would be knowing the answer. So just take a few seconds to answer. Okay, so the correct answer is int s. So this is known as typecasting or type conversion. Typecast or convert. And so let's say you are taking an input. Sorry, enter a number. So let's say you enter a number, but then it will still be stored as a string. This n will still be stored as a string. If you uh, try to find type of this, then it will return to you as a string. So let's say you do a type of n, the answer would be str, meaning string. So how do you convert it? You would do int of that, and now if you do type of n, that will return to you as an integer. Let me just show you how the type conversion is done. So here we have n is equal to input So sorry, I have written the spelling wrong, not input, input. And then let me print the type of this, and then let me do n equal to int n, and then let me print the type. So let me enter the input 23. See, first it is taken, input is taken as string, and then when we do type conversion, then it becomes int by this int command. So that brings us to the end of the quiz questions, and now we move forward to the programming part of this week. So we have a few programming questions for this week. The first question is a very simple question. Take three sides of a triangle as input, it should be as input, and find whether that triangle is a right angled triangle or not. print yes if the triangle is right angled and no if it is not. So let's say for example your input is 3, 4 and 5. Then the output would be yes because this indeed is a right angle triangle. It's a standard 3, 4, 5 triangle. So 3, 4 and 5 and this is the right angle. So how do you check whether something is right angled or not? So you make use of what you have learned in high school, Pythagoras theorem. So Pythagoras theorem says if A and B are the sides of the triangle, let's say this is A, this is B, and the hypotenuse, which is the longest side, is C, then A squared plus B squared equal to C squared. C is the hypotenuse, which is the longest side of the right angle triangle, or basically it is the side opposite to the right angle. Right angle meaning 90 degrees. Right angle which means 90 degrees. So it's denoted by this square. So hypotenuse is the longest side of a right angle triangle. And we'll make use of this Pythagoras theorem in order to check whether a triangle is right angled or not. So how would we do that? Let us first write the piece of code here and then we'll go to Python. So let us say I want to have a list of all sides. So let's say sides is an empty list initially and then we'll take input. So there are 3 sides, so we'll take 3 input. And I want to typecast it into float because I don't want strings, I want to work with numbers. And the side length of the triangle need not be an integer, it can also be some decimal number. That's how you will get side. Then I want to sort my sides in ascending order. So this will sort in ascending order. And then we need to check whether it is right angled or not by making use of Pythagoras theorem. How we will do that? We'll use if condition. So if sides 0, which means the smallest side, square of that plus the second smallest side, the sides of 1, square of that. If this is equal to the square of the hypotenuse, hypotenuse is the longest side, so this will be the last element in the sorted ascending order list. So if this is the situation, then we will print yes, that it is indeed a right angled triangle, else we will print no, it is not a right angled triangle. So this is the piece of code. Let us try and write this in our Python console and then verify. Okay, so let me get rid of all of this. Let us look at the programming assignments. So we have sides equal to, we initialized to an empty list. We have 3 sides. So enter side, okay, then we'll do sides dot sort. Okay, let us first do this much part and let me check whether this much part is working. So enter side, let us enter 3, then 4 and then 5. So yes, see, it is taking taking the input properly. So let us carry forward. So we can do this or we can also do this. Okay, I have written like this in my lecture notes. So this also will work either way. So enter side 3, 4, 5. Oh, sorry, this is not working. Oh, I see. So sides dot sort. Just this part will work. Okay, sorry about that. I will change in my lecture notes. So only sides dot sort is supposed to be there, not sides equal to sides dot sort. Sorry about that. So then we will have if condition. So if sides 0, so the first element to the power 2 plus square of the second side to the power 2 equals this. Then what we have to do, we have to print yes that indeed it is a right angled triangle, else we need to print no that it is not a right angled triangle. So let us try. Enter side 3, 4, 5. Yes, it is a right angle triangle. So it is working perfectly fine. Another Pythagorean triple is I think 5, 12 and 13. Let's try 5, 12, 13. See, yes, this is also a Pythagorean triple. That means 5 squared plus 12 squared is equal to 13 squared. We can see that. See, 5 squared plus 12 squared is 169 and 13 squared is also 169. And let us now enter something which is not right angled. So let's say we will enter 3, 4 and 6 instead of 3, 4, 5. So 3, 4, 6. It is not a right angled triangle as we expect. So this was for the first question. Okay, let's come back. Moving on to the next question. Write a program that accepts a hash separated sequence of words as input and prints the words in a hash separated sequence after sorting them alphabetically in reverse order. So the example input is given. So example, we have 3 words separated by hash as input. So hey, input by, these are the 3 words separated by hash, and the output is alphabetically sorted but reverse order. So first word is input, then hey, then by, and separated by hash. So let us write the piece of code here first. So let's say we have a list called items. We will take as input from the user. Then we will sort in reverse order using the sort method. Okay, and then we will print by hash separating them. So what this dot join command does, it introduces this hash between each successive element in the items list. Let us write this in Python and see the output. Okay, so let us write the code for this second question. Items equal to x for x in input dot split. Okay, now print oh sorry, I have to put the dot outside the apostrophe. Okay, so let us run this. Function object has no attribute split. I do not understand why this is not working. Okay, let me oh can someone spot the error? Oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot to put this. The parentheses are important. I'll put that in the lecture notes also. I think I've made the same mistake in the lecture notes of not putting the parenthesis. So put the parenthesis and now let's run this. Okay, so let us put the input. Hey, oh sorry, not just, I need 2 3 inputs. So hey hash input hash by. Okay, see, output is sorted in the reverse order. Input hash hey hash by. So this is working correctly. Notice that I had missed out on these parentheses. Please don't make such mistakes. This parenthesis is important because input, it comes with that parenthesis. And this dot split basically means that you will enter everything in a single line and you will split it where this hash comes. Okay, so it can be, let's say if I don't want hash, I can do it space separation also. So let's say space, then I will separate everything by space. So hey space input space by. So see this, sorted in reverse order and the separator is space. So you can have any kind of separator. What you put inside this split and join is the separator. So in our question, we were told to use hash. So that's why I used hash. Otherwise, you can choose anything of your own choice. Okay, so coming back to our last question for today. Write a program which takes two integers a and b and prints all composite numbers between a and b, where both a and b are inclusive. So what are composite numbers? Composite numbers are numbers which are not prime. So non-prime numbers are basically known as composite numbers. So let's say for example we have input as 10 and 20. So the output is the list of all non-prime numbers, which is 10, 12, 14, 15, 16, 18 and 20. So note that 11, 13, 17 and 19, these numbers are prime numbers and composite numbers are non-prime numbers. So let's write the piece of code. For this, I would like to import the math function, and let us write a function to check whether something is prime or not. So if the number is 2, 2 is a very special number, then it is prime. If number is 1 or 0, then it is not a prime. And for all other numbers, we need to check whether it is divisible by any other number. So if the number is divisible by any other number other than 1 and the number itself, then it is not a prime. But if it is not divisible, then it is indeed a prime number. So note that I have used this special condition over here. So this is a very simple primality test. So primality tests are basically tests by which you can check whether a number is prime or not. So the simplest primality test would be that you start, you have a number, you divide by 2, divide by 3, divide by 4, keep on dividing till you reach the number -1. Okay, because prime numbers are numbers which are divisible only by 1 and the number itself. But this is a very primitive example, a primitive method of checking for primes. A better method is to stop at square root of the number. Okay, you do not need to check for all the numbers starting from 1 to the number. You can start from 2 and stop at the square root of that number, and if you are able to find any factor within that range, then that means it is not a prime. And if you are not able to find any factor in the range of 2 to the square root of the number, then that means so if you find a factor, it is not prime. If you do not find a factor till square root, it is prime. So this is a little bit better primality test, and that's why I'm making use of this math.sqrt function. Okay, so that is how you would check for prime, and then we will take two numbers. So we take these two numbers as input. And if it is not a prime, then only we will print that number. So note that the range is b plus 1 and not b. That's because the range stops at one number less than what you have specified as the end point. So we want b to be inclusive, so that's why we have not written b, because if we write b then it will stop at b minus 1. So if we want b as inclusive, we would have to write as b. So this is the piece of code for finding composite numbers between two given numbers, and let us now try and write this in our Python console and verify this. Okay, so for the last question, I'll import math. So this is the primality check, primality test that I mentioned. And since square root will give me some kind of decimals or irrationals, irrational number or some decimal fraction, then that's why I need to convert it into an integer, closest integer, and then I'm adding plus 1 because the range function uh, stops at the last element minus 1. So that's why I'm doing it plus 1 so that it stops at square root of that number, the integer value of that. So let's say square root of 5. So that is irrational. So we need to stop at the integer close to that. Okay, so if this, then Now we will take input. Okay, so let us run. We need to give input now. So first number 10, second number 20, the example input, and see we get the output 10, 12, 14, 15, 16, 18 and 20. So these are the composite numbers between 10 and 20, both 10 and 20 being inclusive. Let's try some other example. Let us enter some other numbers. So see again, now we see composite numbers between 20 and 30 with 20 and 30 being inclusive. And the numbers which are not displayed, say 23, that is a prime number. So all the prime numbers are not displayed and all the composite numbers are displayed as the output. So the code is working perfectly fine as we wanted. Okay, so this brings us to the end for this week. Now we are very close to the end of this course. We have just one more week left. So you have just week 12, the last week for this programming course, and hope you have enjoyed up until now. And please do complete the week 12, that will complete your course and give you a very good overview uh, of what Python is capable of and how to write uh, programs in Python. Of course, this is the first course in Python. Python is much more than what you have learned in this course. It is much vast than what you have seen over here, and but this was just to give you a flavor and get you started, so that you can write your own pieces of code, and then you can uh, basically write codes for your own applications and search over the internet as to how you can um, find out packages and modules for your particular application. Okay, so thank you very much. We will meet in the next week.